Islamic State militants have overrun most of the Yarmuk Palestinian refugee camp in the southern part of Damascus. Activists from the Syrian Human Rights Observatory reporting that jihadists are still fighting with other Palestinian groups inside the camp, groups that are opposed to President Bashar al-Assad. The camp, once home to 160,000 Palestinians, already has been for a while the shell of its former self. Let's cross now to correspondent Adam Pletz. Adam, what's the latest?
Well, as we understand it, the Islamic State group launched this offensive this morning to take the Palestinian refugee camp of Yarmuk, which is actually within the southern suburbs of Damascus proper. And this confirmed to us by two reliable sources. Firstly, a member of the Palestinian... Excuse me, I don't know whether you can see me, I'm having some difficulties here. A member of the Palestine Liberation Organization, himself speaking from Damascus, and then secondly, as you said, from the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, who say that even if the fighting continues, the Islamic State group is under control of most of that camp. But what's important to note is that the camp wasn't taken from Syrian government forces themselves, but rather from Palestinian fighters themselves, also opposed to Bashar Assad's rule. So a complicated system, as we've often seen with infighting between opposition groups themselves, not something that is unusual in the case of ISIS in particular. And by no means is this also the only suburb of Damascus that is under opposition control, under the control of opposition fighters of one description or another, thinking particularly of Jobar. But what this does do, if the Islamic State group consolidate their control on that camp, is to bring them within 2 to 3 miles of the center of Damascus city itself.
And Yarmuk itself has gone from tragedy to tragedy since the uprising began in Syria. That's right.
I mean, at times it's been described as the worst affected area in Syria, worst affected by the Syrian conflict. And that is because it's seen renewed fighting over a period of years. It was itself the site of combat between different Palestinian groups, some of whom were aligned with the Damascus government, others fighting with the Free Syrian Army, as you would have described it at the time. There was something of a resolution to that situation in early 2014, but that still left the camp under siege. And between that fighting and the siege since then, the people within the camp have suffered terribly. Even as recently as last month, the head of UNRWA, which is the Palestinian organization in charge of the UN organization in charge of the Palestinian file, if you like, made a visit to the camp to draw attention to the plight of those who are still there. It's believed that even at this point, there's some 18,000 people in the camp from a former population of 160,000. And of course, following this latest fighting, there's going to be deep concern for their well-being with ISIS having taken over.
Adam Pletz, many thanks for that live update.